Hi, and welcome to Gameplan with Marcus Hersh. Gameplan is a digital product Daily Race Form puts out nearly every day. A handy thumbnail for racing across the country, including the playbook section, in which various handicappers pick out horses you might want to bet on at different tracks. And that is what I'm here to talk to you about. I am one of my roles is as the Maryland analyst, and I have been handicapping Pimlico since the brief meet started last week. And I'm going to focus my DRF game plan playbook plays this Saturday on the Pimlico card, which is obviously going to be the center of North American racing attention as it features the Preakness Stakes. I don't have a strong opinion in the Preakness, but I have three other opinions I want to talk about. Going in race order, race 5, the James W. Murphy Stakes over 1 mile on turf for 3-year-olds. The horse that interests me here is number 5, Real News, a horse that I grew familiar with from the start of his career at Fairgrounds. He has done little wrong in 3 starts, one on dirt, which was an off-the-turf race first time out. And I thought ran a very impressive race to run down a horse named Vote, who maybe isn't a world champion, but is very competent, and I thought got an easy lead in that one of the allowance at Fairgrounds. Returned in a logical spot, Turf Sprint Stakes at Keeneland, won by Bulletin, who was all the rage at the time. He subsequently was defeated in the William Walker Stakes at Churchill. Very surprising loss because Bulletin had looked so strong in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint last fall and was equally powerful winning that race at Keeneland, in which Real News, I thought, ran a fine second. I thought he really traveled well in the race. He handled the step up in class, faced better horses, and was beat everyone except the winner. Also, he might have come a little closer to Bulletin. I'm not saying it was a major pilot error, but just some decisions made around the 5/16 pole. And coming into the home stretch, I thought he might have taken a slightly different path, which could have served to put him in a little bit better position. But really what I thought, just as that race ended, is this horse would stretch out to a middle distance. I don't know how much farther than a mile he wants to go, but a mile around 2 turns seems like an ideal trip for Real News, who, given the complexion of this field, I think ought to be a fair price. I think the 5-1 morning line odds seem about right. And that would be fine to me. I'll take that on Real News and hope that he continues to develop in the way that we have seen so far this year for trainer Al Stahl. Wheeling right back in race 6, the Maryland Sprint, the horse I'm partial to here and will be betting straight and perhaps is a key horse in multi-race wagers is number 1, New York Central, who is 6-1 on the line. I would be more than happy to take 6-1 on this horse. He was 22-1 in the Commonwealth Stakes at Keeneland. That was, I think, a pretty strong race this year. And I thought this horse ran well. He raced very wide, chasing a moderate pace, and just kind of got stuck floundering on the outside, going 7 furlongs. He was beaten only 3 1/4 lengths. I thought that was a very strong effort given the strength of that race. The winner, Bobby's Wicked One, came right back at Churchill Downs and ran another good race himself. I think that form is going to validate itself over time. The key to me with New York Central, the major key is sprinting generally. He showed a lot of talent from the very start of his career and was a 3-year-old to watch at the Oaklawn meeting of 2018. And the focus, of course, that time of year on route racing. They tried to make this horse into a route horse, which on pedigree you could kind of understand, but he just couldn't do it. I don't think he ever wanted to go that far. He did win once at a mile in the 16th, but I think they were fighting an uphill battle, which is totally understandable. And then after the Pat Day mile and Derby Day, he was done for the entire year. We didn't see him again until Oaklawn this spring. His 3/4 allowance race comeback, he was 3-2 for a reason, but I really like the way he won that race. And I'm going to go a little bit further in the sprint angle and say that 7 furlongs in the Commonwealth might have been a little too far. So A, he's cutting back to 3/4, which I suspect might turn out to be his best trip. B, that was a tougher race than this one, in my opinion. And C, he's got a 3-race pattern after the long layoff, February, April, May now. I really think this horse should be coming into his best form. If he's good enough, he's going to show it today. Hopefully as a slightly overlooked middle choice in the Maryland Sprint. And the last race for this game plan focus will be the Dixie Stakes, the last preliminary before the Preakness itself. I guess, to be honest, the first thing that struck me about this race was the presence of Catholic Boy, who was a fine winner of the Travers Stakes, is a really good horse, beautiful horse, got a lot of talent, the rare horse who seems to be able to produce a top race at the top level on both turf and dirt. However, after the Travers, the rest of his 3-year-old season was, it just didn't work out at all. He didn't show up to get to the Breeders' Cup Classic, and he didn't run a step there. He was slow to get started working this year. I'm not saying that he won't end up having a good season, but this race is too short, I think, from what we see in his form for what he really wants to do. It's a stepping stone to important dirt races over the summer, his connections have said. He's in post 12, which is a bad draw for this distance, and he's going to be a fairly short price. So when I see a horse like that, it makes me take an extra close look at the race. I think that the horse to beat actually here is number 11, Spectre Lindley, who is in form at the right distance and probably in a better position to win than Catholic Boy. And I do have a lot of respect for Inspector Lindley. Stuart Janney, the co-owner with the Phipps stable, is a Marylander, and Chuck McGahee has done well in the Dixie before. I think this horse is going to run a good race and is very well meant. And he would be the horse that scares me the most. But I am going to play number 3, Admission Office, who is 12 to 1 on the line. I don't necessarily believe he's going to be that long a price. I do think that people are looking to beat Catholic Boy and are casting about for alternatives. Maybe Admission Office isn't good enough. We're going to find out. The idea is to get the right price on a horse who hasn't proven himself at a level yet. So I'm going to need 8 to 1 at least or so to play this horse as a win proposition. But if you go back through his form, he's done very little wrong and has done some impressive things throughout his career, starting in his debut, which he managed to win coming from 12th with a very strong finish at Belmont Park, going a mile and a 16th distance of this race. His 4 starts last year at 3 were for Chad Brown. Amerman Racing, his owner and breeder, switched him to trainer Brian Lynch, a trainer they've used regularly in the past. I'm not sure why that happened. I don't really care at this point. But what I do care about is the comeback race he ran at Keeneland, which we have video of. I thought this was an excellent performance from a wide draw. Didn't manage to get in, but the reason he did that was he showed, I thought, a new dimension in the way he went about his racing by displaying some tactical speed. Some tactical speed. Granted, the pace was moderate, but one of the issues he had to some extent last year was falling out the back door and having too much to do, even when he came with strong finish after strong finish. In this race, he was able to be positioned well within striking distance of the leader, still unleashed the same sort of burst. If you look at his closing time, excellent in that race. And the horse he ran down, Instilled Regard, returned to run a very moderate sort of race on dirt at Churchill Downs, but was grade 1 placed on turf at the end of the 3-year-old season and was favored in that race because he's a pretty darn good middle distance turf horse. Admission Office, 5 races, 1 start this year, set to make a big jump forward, hopefully at a decent price, hopefully launching us into something good in the Preakness Stakes, the last of 3 DRF Game Plan playbook plays on this Pimlico card at Preakness. Best of luck to you this weekend.